What would you do if you found out that your child, who you've raised for the past 5 years, their entire life, is not biologically related to you? Well, unfortunately, that is exactly what happens to this man in our first story. But what happens next is nothing short of unbelievable. My husband got a paternity test on our 5-year-old daughter, and it came back negative. But I never cheated. Now he thinks our relationship is a lie and wants to divorce. What do? I don't know how it happened, and I haven't been able to stop crying all day. I never cheated. I love my husband. We've been together since college, and he's the love of my life. He's handsome and kind, and while I've slept with 2 other people, both were before we got together. There is no other potential father for our daughter. We were married already and actively trying for a baby. I never cheated. I never would cheat. And I don't know why he took that stupid test, because I would never ever cheat. But it came back negative, and now he thinks he's not her dad. I don't know how to convince him it was a faulty test, and I'm so scared. These past few months, it's like he's become someone completely different from the man I married. He's cold and suspicious. He kept demanding to see my phone and wouldn't tell me why, and I showed him at first, but eventually I told him I wouldn't anymore unless he explained why. He's been distant with our daughter too. He stays in his office for hours on end, and I don't know what he's doing. I did not cheat. He accused me this morning, saying he'd done the test after realizing that our daughter's eyes, brown, wouldn't naturally come from ours, both blue, and that he wanted me to get out of the house. I didn't leave, and he locked me out of our bedroom, and now I'm in my daughter's room. This is terrifying. What should I do? A small update, I just had a conversation with my husband. He's out of his room now, and we discussed some things. I told him again that I would never cheat, and I started talking about a list I made of tests I want done, but he told me that he didn't want to hear it right now. We're going to have a longer conversation tomorrow, and he said that he still loves our daughter, and he won't try to keep me out of the house or our room for now. I asked him to hug me, and he did. I'm scared that I won't be able to convince him. I just want our family to go back to normal. How can I be a good wife and support his needs while proving my innocence? Okay guys, so that was the original post. Now, what I'm about to read you is genuinely shocking, and it's the update and conclusion to the story. But before we get into that, first of all, please do get in the comments. I want to know what you think is going on here, what you think might have happened before I reveal all. Right, pause the video, get down in the comments, let me know. Now, brace yourselves. Here we go. Hi everyone. First off, I wanted to thank everyone who reached out. My original post got so much attention, it was hard to get to everything. But I ended up making a list of plans and tests I wanted to get done. My husband was, understandably, distrustful of me for a while, but he apologized for the way he acted, which I didn't need, and said that he wouldn't try to kick me out of our home. He did say though that if every test came back and I had cheated, then he was going to go scorched earth. We did a few tests. Blood paternity tests for him and me and our daughter, and we had an appointment with a chimerism specialist coming up. But that got cancelled because, well, some of you guessed it, but my daughter is not biologically mine either. I don't know how this happened, but a police officer came to our house and took our statements, and we're suing the hospital where I gave birth. I don't know what happened to my baby, and that is terrifying. I have my husband back, but my whole world was still upended, and I just wish he'd never taken that stupid test. I've been sleeping in my daughter's room, and I'm so afraid that she's going to be taken away from me. But at the same time, I want to know where my biological daughter is, and if she's okay. I pray to God she's okay. My daughter still doesn't know the details, and we've been trying to keep this quiet. The last thing we need is a big scandal. I don't want people who know us to look at her differently. She deserves better than that. She's such a good kid, and she's not some spectacle to be gawked at. If we can find her birth family, I have no idea what we'll do. I guess the best case scenario would be to get a bigger house and all live together, but I don't know if we can afford that, or if they'd go for that, or even if we'll be able to locate them, or if I'm just crazy. The whole situation is crazy. I don't know anyone else who's been in a situation like this. I mean, are there support groups for parents of kids who got mixed up? I googled and nothing came up. Literally, all I'm getting are tabloid articles from trashy magazines that slap the faces of innocent kids on the same pages as celebrity sex scandals and fiction. How do we tell our daughter? I mean, we can't tell her now. She'll tell the kids at school and then it will be everywhere, but we have to say something. I don't know what I ever did to deserve this. Wow. And that is the conclusion of this story. I mean, I feel so bad. What do you even say in a situation like this? What can you even do? Nothing. I don't know how this has happened. Absolutely sue the hospital, but ultimately, who cares? You've been raising someone that actually isn't related to you your entire life without them knowing and without you knowing. Unreal. On top of that, you don't even know if you're ever going to meet your actual child, your biological child again, where they are, if they're safe, what they're doing, if they're still alive even. Oh my goodness. That would just completely turn your world upside down. As for what to do in the future now, I don't even know. I can't even say anything because I have no idea how I'd feel in this situation. Obviously, you don't want to lose your child. I mean, they're not your child, but the person you've been looking after for 5 years. I don't know. Are they even your child at this point? It's as if you've adopted them. But where are their parents in this situation? As you said, oh, what an absolute mess. I don't envy you at all, and I'm so sorry. My husband told someone he was out with his little sister. He doesn't have one. I've been married to my husband for a long time. We have kids, a house, and pets together. We have an active sex life, we go on dates often, and share a lot of the same hobbies. Today, he's at a pool party with our oldest son. I took our youngest to the water park in town, where I ran into one of the other mums I know. We started talking, and she mentioned at one point that it had been so nice to meet my husband's youngest sister last week, and she asked if she was my sister or his. I replied that neither one of us has a sister, and I asked her what the woman looked like. She said she was young and petite with dark hair. I only have a much younger brother with red hair, and he has a brother who is over 6 foot. So neither one of us have a sibling who could be confused for a sister. He doesn't have any cousins, and I do, but he's not close with any of them. I'm freaking out, because obviously the first thing my mind goes to is he's cheating. I remember him going to the park last week, and he never made any mention of meeting up with anyone or hanging out with anyone there. My youngest son isn't old enough to tell me. I can't get through to him because his phone isn't on him since they're in the pool. So now I'm just here freaking out because my mind is going wild. And now the updates. When he got home with our son, I simply said to him, Trish said she ran into you at the park. She said you were with someone you introduced as your sister. Who was it? I knew something was up because he was just silent and didn't say anything. Then he just said, okay, we need to talk. Do you want to do this now or later? Obviously I said now, so he told the boys to go and play downstairs. He admitted he'd been planning on leaving me for a while, but he'd wanted to wait for the right time to do it. He said he'd met someone else he had feelings for, he'd met her last year, and things happened slowly. He said he never cheated on me physically, but there were a lot of times he told me he was doing work when he was really texting her or going into his office to FaceTime her, and they would sometimes meet up. I asked him why he felt okay bringing our son around this person, and he said it was because our son already knew her, which is when I found out that his little sister and the person he's leaving me for is our son's daycare teacher. My husband is the one who drops him off every morning, so I guess that's how they met. I should have guessed something was up when he began volunteering to go pick him up as well. He seemed apologetic and kept repeating that he never did anything physical, and that he wanted to remain civil for the kids. I still haven't fully processed any of this. He's living in the basement apartment until we get things figured out. Oh wow, another truly horrible story. I'm so sorry for you, OP. What I don't understand is people like this, your husband, who says that he's not been cheating on you, but this is cheating. Yeah, he's not getting with her, he's not having a sexual relationship with her, but come on, you're going to spend time on her in a flirtatious way, and you're thinking of the right time of leaving your current wife. That obviously is cheating. I don't care what anyone says. Now, amazingly, this story has more to it. Trish, the woman who saw your husband, OP, with this woman, actually posted her experience and her side of the events, meeting your husband with that woman at the park. Here it is. My life is never exciting, so this is the first time I've ever had something to post. So, I have a 4-year-old and we were at the park. I saw one of my son's friends and his dad standing with the woman who I knew looked familiar, who wasn't his wife. I'm kind of jaded and assume the worst in everyone, but I tried to remind myself to not do that and to be more open-minded. Lo and behold, 2 minutes after just seeing him out of the corner of my eye, this girl he was with whispers something into his ear, She does like this flirty little giggle, and then he wraps his arms around her waist and hugs her. I'm immediately seeing red, because this guy is legitimately cheating on his wife directly in front of their kid in public. But whatever, in my head I'm thinking maybe they're swingers or have an open relationship, and I'm definitely not one to shame anyone's life. So at this point, I walk up to him, because I was 100% going to tell people about this, and I wanted to at least let him be aware that I saw him. So I walk up and I'm like, "Hey James," and he looks like a deer in the headlights, which is crazy to me because even though this isn't a super crowded park, it's still a park, and obviously there might be people with kids who know him there. Anyway, he introduces this girl as his sister. I know that adoptive, chosen, foster, half, step siblings exist, so it wasn't the fact that they looked absolutely nothing alike that made me know that was a lie. It was because nobody whispers or hugs their sister like that. I think I should also add that I'm the most awkward person ever, so at this point, I bet my voice was like 100 octaves higher than it usually is, and I was like, "Oh, whoa, so great to meet you. I love your brother and his wife. Such a lovely couple." And then I snatched my kid up and left. Oh my god. So she doesn't have social media and I don't have her number, but I knew she also goes to that park sometimes. So I went back every single day. My kid loved it until I saw her there. So even though I had all of this time to plan out what I was going to say to her, I had no idea. I didn't want to sound like I was accusing him of anything if he wasn't cheating, and I didn't want it to seem like I was doing a "aha, I caught you" if they did have an open marriage or swingers or something. So the totally smooth person I am legit just goes up to her and I'm like, "Oh, it was so great to meet your husband's sister. Is she his sister or yours?" I wanted to die right there. What the heck kind of question is that? She looked at me like I had 8 heads, but thank God, neither one of them has a sister. So she was just asking me questions about the woman. Oh my god, that explains so much now, because I did think that question was very strange. Is she his sister or yours? Now it makes sense from Trisha's perspective. That's jokes. Anyway, it turns out he was having an affair, right in public, in a park, in front of his kid. And the best or worst part is that this lady was the kid's daycare teacher, and that's how they met. The wife pulled her kid, and obviously the owner of the daycare wanted to know why, and she told her. So, the owner of the daycare freaked out on this teacher and put her on leave. And now the worker is saying that she's going to sue for wrongful termination, since the affair with the husband happened off of daycare property, and she didn't do anything wrong during work hours. Okay, good, thank you. Finally, someone else is calling this an affair and cheating, because that's so clearly what it is. I didn't really get that about the first post. It's super interesting to see this from someone else's perspective that was involved in the same story though, because you never really get that on Reddit. Normally it's just one person's account, and that is why it's so good. But this kind of makes the whole picture more clear and rounds it all off. And now we really know what happened. I just love that Trish said, "Is it your sister or your wife's sister?" That's the most ridiculous comment I've ever heard, but it all makes sense now. Again, a great story, but one that's rather sad. Am I the butthole for dumbing down an English word to a non-English speaker? I was talking to a new co-worker who is from Thailand, and English is their second language. She has lived here for around 6 months and moved here with little English speaking skills. I would say she is at the very least proficient now and is improving every day. We're just co-workers, but I feel very proud to be a part of her story in a weird way. So her and I were talking about a customer who ordered a bunch of food for his wedding and essentially was being a groomzilla, refusing to pick it up and insisting on delivery out of our delivery range. I told my co-worker how he was so nonchalant about everything up until he began demanding us to deliver. Now, after saying that, I realized that my co-worker probably might have not learned that word before. I learned it in middle school English class, so I don't blame her. I wasn't really sure if the exact word would make sense, so after I said it, I used 3 synonyms for it, like he was relaxed, not emotional, unaffected. She nodded, and the convo ended a couple of minutes after. Another co-worker later told me she overheard our conversation. We work in a small place, so that makes sense, and that I was being patronizing, and they could have used context clues to figure it out. I haven't really thought about that before, and now I'm starting to think that I was being somewhat condescending. She is very hard to read, at least to me, and tends not to be super expressive, so I couldn't really tell if in the conversation she was offended or not. Now I'm not sure if I was the butthole. Please give me your honest opinion. At first I thought I was in the right, but now I'm starting to think otherwise. Guys, again, get down in the comments quickly if you are on YouTube. Pause the video, let me know, butthole or not. I want to hear your thoughts. But once again, we do have a conclusive update. Hey guys, I really appreciated the insight a lot of you gave me, and I figured I'd do a small update. Now this update comes a week after the original post. I talked to my coworker, she is from Thailand, and I asked if I ever made her uncomfortable for teaching her words, and if it's been condescending to her. She told me she appreciated my effort and it doesn't make her uncomfortable. She says she likes having reinforcements of some kind. I told her to let me know if I'm ever out of line, and she agreed. I recommend some good English shows she can watch that will help her, that I think she'll like. And during closing yesterday, I make her watch my favourite movie, Legally Blonde, and next closing we're watching her favourite movie, Bangkok Traffic Love Story. All in all, I think we have truly strengthened our friendship and it makes me very happy. I talked to my other co-worker who initially had an issue with my teaching English words to my Thai co-worker. I told her I appreciated her comment, but we cleared it up. She apologized to me and told me she's had lots of issues with people correcting her as she is Mexican American. And despite living in America her entire life, white people do still correct her on her English. We had a long conversation about immigration and how they are treated in America. And I truly think I've gained a new understanding of life as a non-white American. While my situation was welcome, I will refrain from correcting other people unless they give me the green lights. So, talking with the both of them, I invited them downtown to eat at an authentic Thai restaurant. I'm glad everything worked out and we're all building our relationship with each other. Sorry guys, if I'm a bit speechless, lost for words here. But I think, I'm not sure, but I do believe I've just read a post on Reddit where everyone is nice, has logic, is sensible, apologizes for their actions, and comes to a great conclusion where they're all friends. This is genuinely shocking to me. I never thought I'd see the day when this would happen. Unbelievable. There's nothing else I can say here apart from thanks for watching and listening. I need to go and have a lie down.